Food is the most important decision we can make for our pets. In this video, Whollypets would like to shed light on the pet food industry. We will look into who is actually behind commercial pet food and what their interest is in regards to pet health. So how regulated is commercial pet food? Ever wondered about meat meal? Think it's chicken, beef, or fish? Think again. This video will help you make more informed decisions when feeding your pets. Let's begin by taking a look at the pet industry. Within this industry, the pet food market is the largest part of the market. Pet spending is not affected by the economy. After all, we have to feed our pets, right? Although the pet food industry is so large, it is really dominated by only a few companies. Though you may browse the aisles and see the different brands and packaging, including the latest premium brands, one thing you must know is that they are all owned by a big few. The many different brands only mask true intent, which is profit. Nestle, Mars, and Colgate-Palmolive dominate the pet food industry. In other words, these companies in charge of pet health and nutrition are also manufacturing not-so-nutritious Hot Pockets, candy bars, Skittles, and your household cleaners. One has to wonder what interest Nestle, Mars, and Colgate-Palmolive have in our pets' health. The processing involved in manufacturing kibble is extensive. Intense heat is used at multiple levels of the manufacturing process, causing raw materials to be completely void of nutrition. Most all commercial food, regardless of its health claims and beginning raw materials, end up completely void of nutrition after processing. The process actually begins with rendered meat. The pet food industry is the largest user of rendered fats and proteins. The rendering industry is nothing more than a waste disposal that recycles filth into profit. Rendered meat supplied by rendering facilities includes fallen or diseased livestock and horses, roadkill, and euthanized house pets. The National Animal Control estimated 5 million pets shipped to rendering facilities annually during the 1990s. Pet food manufacturers then take this rendered meat and add other raw materials which contain expired meat and unused parts of an animal to process into a meat meal by using extreme heat to separate protein from the fat and water. Meat meal is then mixed with other raw materials like grains, starches, fats, which include rancid oils and grease from the grease traps of restaurants, fillers like powdered cellulose, gelling agents, preservatives, yeast, sweeteners, and synthetic vitamins to replace natural vitamins that were lost during processing to form a dough. This dough is then pushed through an extruder at extreme temperatures to form kibble pieces that then need to be sprayed with coloring and flavor to look, smell, and taste palatable. So you may be wondering who regulates rendering facilities used to supply pet food manufacturers and other raw materials used in commercial pet food. The AFCO has zero regulatory authority over commercial pet food. It is an independent organization and does not inspect, approve, or regulate pet food. The AFCO does define and establish regulations and set standards for nutritional adequacy. The FDA is the main regulatory body over pet food, the second being the State Department of Agriculture. So what does the FDA consider safe in regards to commercial pet food? In April of 2019, the FDA stated in a response to a petition from the Association for Truth in Pet Food, "We do not believe that the use of diseased animals or animals that died otherwise than by slaughter to make animal food poses a safety concern." This statement is in direct conflict with what the FDA states in the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, where pet food is regulated. To quote the National Renders Association, decomposition of animal tissues begins the moment slaughter takes place and some time needed to get these materials into the rendering process. Decomposition is not always a negative for product quality and food safety. The rendering process effectively resets the clock by processing raw materials including offal, outdated meat, and fallen animals that may be deemed filthy, putrid, or decomposed substances with respect to human food into safe, wholesome, and useful feed ingredients for animals. In other words, the FDA is actually approving the questionable ingredients from rendering facilities that are in direct conflict with food safety laws outlined in the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The pet food industry knows that most pet owners are willing to spend more for foods that address their pet's nutritional needs, but what the consumer doesn't know is that they aren't necessarily paying for better quality ingredients but for inferior substitutions. Grain-free actually means contamination-prone peas and other legumes. Higher protein means protein from non-animal sources. Ingredients addressing skin and food sensitivities mean substitutions, such as starch and powdered cellulose. Weight control ingredients are GMO corn and soy derivatives, gluten meal, and powdered cellulose, making sure some of the ingredients are whole grain to advertise soluble and insoluble fiber. In other words, weight controls pets feeling bloated and actually desiring to eat less. Don't be captivated by the latest brand, the front graphics, marketing taglines, or even prescription diets that sound like high-quality food. Read the ingredient labels. As mentioned, because of the heavy heat and processing during manufacturing, synthetically derived vitamins and minerals have to be added after processing in order to balance a nutritionally sterile kibble. Most synthetic vitamins are manufactured in China. Therefore, even the most premium pet food has cheap synthetic vitamins and minerals. Commercial pet food also has a possibility of mycotoxin contamination. It's almost unavoidable because they cannot be seen or smelled. Raw materials can be contaminated with this fungus at any stage or process. One mycotoxin of major concern is aflatoxin. Aflatoxin contaminates grains, cereal crops, tree nuts, and legumes like peas. Unfortunately, peas have become a very common pet food ingredient due to its nutrient profile. Companies use grain-free peas to increase protein levels very inexpensively. According to Association for Truth in Pet Food, in 2020, 94% of all recalled pet foods were due to aflatoxin contamination. Now let's talk about all the ingredients to avoid. Avoid ambiguous meat meal. Meat meal is rendered animals from questionable and unacceptable sources. Avoid artificial preservatives including BHA and BHT. These synthetic preservatives are known to cause cancer and kidney damage. Avoid artificial dyes like yellow 5 and red 40 and artificial flavors. This is MSG, natural flavors, hydrolyzed yeast, soy extract, and also any unnecessary sweeteners, corn syrup, sugar, sucrose. These ingredients are associated with hyperactivity, organ damage, allergic reactions, and even cancer. Avoid vegetable oils like soybean oil and corn oil as they are from genetically modified crops. Also avoid low-quality ingredients used as fillers and binders because they are very difficult for pets to digest. These include corn, cornmeal, cornstarch, carrageenan, gums, gluten, wheat, soy, rice hull, rice bran, and cellulose. Some of these fillers are used to bulk up the protein levels inexpensively and are derived from genetically modified crops. These crops are heavily sprayed with toxic pesticides and herbicides. According to NCBI, within a human or animal body, pesticides may be metabolized, excreted, stored, or bioaccumulated in body fat. The numerous negative effects that have been associated with chemical pesticides include, among other health effects, dermatological, gastrointestinal, neurological, carcinogenic, respiratory, reproductive, and endocrine effects. You might be asking yourself, so what do I look for in an ingredient list? Look for verifiable whole protein sources as the first ingredients. Next, make sure the ingredients include a nutritious organ meat. Wholesome vegetables, stable fats, and natural preservatives are also the right ingredients to look for. However, any ingredient called byproduct, meat meal, tallow, animal fat, animal digest, or grease is a rendered product. Remember, rendering involves converting waste animal tissue into safe, wholesome, and useful feed ingredients. Avoiding dry food is Whollypets' recommendation. The better alternative is wet food. Dry foods are mostly high-carbohydrate foods which contribute to weight gain, inflammation, diabetes, pancreatitis, and dehydration. The extrusion process involved in manufacturing kibble creates a dangerously low-moisture food. It is completely unnatural for a dog to eat this type of low-moisture food. Dogs are designed to consume high-moisture foods. Water is critical for the body to function healthily. Water makes up 60% of a dog's body, and a dog's natural diet is around 70% water. Kibble is a shocking 10% or less. Remember, food is the most important decision you can make for your pet. Pet food needs to be as real as possible. You may be thinking, if I don't feed commercial, it won't be balanced. Professional pet nutritionists know how to balance food and meet all the necessary nutrient requirements for dogs and cats. We use the same calculations and formulas as veterinarians. The most common misconception is that people food is bad for pets, even though the first major kibble is only about 60 years old. Whollypets encourages people food, and most holistic veterinarians would agree. Share your healthy food with your pet. Fresh meat and vegetables, of course. Whollypets believes the reason dogs are labeled beggars is because they are not being fed nourishing food. Begging will naturally disappear when a dog receives adequate nutrition and is being satisfied with wholesome, vitamin-rich foods. There is a lot of fear around the types of ingredients that are safe for dogs. Googling the phrase canned dogs shows just how much confusion there is around safe foods for dogs. Fear-mongering from not just individuals but professionals against real food has pet owners at the point of questioning the safety of even feeding simple fruits and vegetables. The truth is, we've forgotten that prior to kibble, dogs were also eating scraps from their master's table. So why are we so afraid of feeding pets real food? Could it be that the pet food industry has led us to believe it's the only way for pets to eat? You may be saying to yourself, but I have to buy kibble. What can I do to safeguard my dog's health while feeding dry commercial food? Whollypets recommends these helpful tips for boosting the health properties of commercial pet food. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate that overly dry food using nutrient-rich bone broth. Bone broth can be made at home very inexpensively and is full of beneficial minerals and electrolytes, vitamins, and amino acids. Dogs and cats absolutely love it. There are so many health benefits of feeding bone broth that includes boosting the immune, helping inflammation, soothing the gut lining, and even improving skin and coat. And please add people food to your pet's food. Since dry food is relatively high in carbohydrates, stick to ingredients that will increase the protein content healthily and choose ingredients that are as unprocessed as possible. For instance, hot dogs or salami are not very good choices for protein as they are processed and full of sodium. If you make beef or chicken at home, share some. A tip is to set aside a portion before marinating. Want to know the easiest and healthiest protein option for your dog involves no prep and comes in a can? Whollypets calls it superfood in a can, wild sardines in water. Sardines are truly one of nature's multivitamin. Aside from the naturally occurring vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, B vitamins, selenium, iron, zinc, and CoQ10, sardines are really the best quality source of omega-3s. Also, adding a stable saturated fat like coconut oil is beneficial since coconut oil is mostly comprised of medium-chain triglycerides, which are not stored as fat. Your dog can receive the unique property of the naturally present lauric acid without worrying about the added fat. Lauric acid is a natural antimicrobial, and since dogs today are suffering more than ever from unfriendly bacteria and stubborn yeast, try to incorporate some dietary coconut oil. Which brings us to the next tip of incorporating friendly bacteria to sterile kibble. Microorganisms in the gut help control the body's immune, and gut health is compromised more than ever as pets are overly medicated and eating processed food. Since the gut is also known as the second brain, and there's a strong correlation with an unhealthy gut and disease, Whollypets strongly recommends also adding fermented dairy like kefir as a topper. Kefir is an excellent way to balance friendly and unfriendly bacteria and yeast. Whollypets' last helpful tip, since kibble is prone to aflatoxin as seen in a lot of recent dog food recalls, try to protect your dog with this simple preventative measure. Chlorophyll, which can only be obtained from plants as it gives them their vibrant green color, is effective against aflatoxin absorption. So get ready to share that salad with your dog at mealtime. You can blend kale, arugula, spring mix, or spinach in a blender with a little bone broth or water and spread over your dog's food. Whollypets hopes this video not only informed you to make better decisions when feeding your pet, but also changed the perspective that commercial pet food is the only way to feed. Sadly, today's pets are more ill than ever, and alarming statistics of 1 in 4 dogs will at some stage in their life develop cancer raises a lot of questions about our understanding of dog health. Whollypets believes that there is a definite connection between a pet's diet and health. Sourcing your own raw materials and feeding real food is worth it. When you experience that level of excitement your pet feels eating fresh food, it is so rewarding. Thank you for watching. Please share and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.